On today's episode of Locked On Wild, Jessi Pierce buying a big season from Matt Boldy.
Hey, this is Matt Boldy, and you're listening to Locked On Wild.
Hey, this is Marcus Johansson, and you're listening to Locked On Wild.
You're Locked On Wild, your daily podcast on the Minnesota Wild. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Locked On Wild, your daily Minnesota Wild podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team each and every day, and we thank you for making Locked On Wild your first listen each and every day as well. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss out on any new episodes throughout the week. Today's episode of Locked On Wild is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. On today's episode of Locked On Wild, Jessi Pierce of the Bardown Beauties Podcast stops by for a little buy or sell and a few of the things that Jessi is watching in the early portion of the season. We'll also dive into our inaugural Central Division Power Rankings. We get that going on a weekly basis here on Locked On Wild. We'll talk about all that here coming up. My name is Seth Toupal, host of Locked On Wild, credentialed media member, bringing you credentialed access to the Minnesota Wild for the 2025-2026 season, and host of Seth on Sports as well. As we mentioned, Jessi Pierce of the Bardown Beauties Podcast joining us on today's show. We're going to play a little buy or sell, sign, trade, or cut. And what is Jessi watching in the early part of the season? So without further ado, Jessi Pierce. Hey, and joining me on today's episode of Locked On Wild, dear friend of the show, host of the Bardown Beauties Podcast, now part of the Score North family of podcasts, Jessi Pierce of NHL.com and the Bardown Beauties Podcast. Jessi, the season is underway, and much to our chagrin, ups and downs, hot starts, cold play. Lot to get to so far this season.
I'm kind of already like, what are we doing? Like, it's only 4 games in, and I'm like, what's happening? Like, why am I so overly emotional about this team? I'm happy, I'm mad, I'm sad. I'm like, I don't know what to make of them. And I have to remind myself, we're only 4 games in, but this condensed schedule to start the year, I think, has everybody hitting panic mode a little bit sooner than you would because there's so many games in a short amount of time. But I'm anxious to dive into all of that with you, my dear friend Seth.
Yeah, we've got some games here today because one of the things that I like to do is when I have a host of another show on, I like to pull a little something that they bring to the table in their shows. And so we're going to start with a little buy or sell here on today's show. And so I'm going to get you right off the top, Jessi. Matt Boldy off to a great start, 4 goals in 4 games. He looks like the guy that we saw in the playoffs last year against Vegas. So buy or sell a new Matt Boldy for the 2025-2026 season.
I'm buying it, baby. You're going to see consistency from Matt Boldy. You're going to see 50 goals. I don't know if you guys have followed me on Twitter at Jessi_Pierce. Little plug there. I have been starting the Matt Boldy countdown to 50 goals because I believe this is the year he hits that. Like last year, Bill Guerin had us all riled up saying he's a 50-50 player. This could be the year for sure. 50 goals for Boldy. I am buying it all day.
And Jessi, one of the biggest differences, I think, I go back to that goal that Boldy scored against the Kings. He had the puck in one of the faceoff circles, and old Matt Boldy would have shot from there.
Yeah.
But this Matt Boldy takes the puck straight up to the net, and he rams it past Darcy Kemper for a power play goal. Like, more of that. If we see more of that this year, seems like his one-timer accuracy is much better this year than it has been. I'm with you. I'm buying. I think we have seen Matt Boldy extend what he did in the postseason to this year, and I don't see it slowing down.
No, we got high danger shots. We're getting quality shots in addition to the shot attempts almost every night. I think the other night in Dallas, it was 10 shots with 12 shot attempts. And again, he's picking, like you said, he's picking and choosing the right areas to do it. His vision is kind of coming through. He's got the skating ability. He's got the hockey IQ. It's now just, he's mature enough to be able to utilize all the tools in his arsenal.
Buy or sell the Minnesota Wild power play, which so far this year has been their only means of scoring. More on that in a little bit. 47%, I believe, is the number at which they are succeeding so far this year. And obviously, that's probably not sustainable. But do you buy or sell this being a more effective power play than we've seen in previous years?
More effective, yes, but to your point, it's not sustainable. Last year, the power play looked phenomenal to start the year as well. The whole team was producing, and then teams figured it out. Teams figured out how to defend against the power play. It's no big secret what the Minnesota Wild are necessarily doing. I do like Zebullium there. It scares me, though, too, at the same time, because some of his turnovers are so egregious. Like, he's just... It concerns me. So I'm going to sell on the idea. I think it's more effective, but I think you're going to see this wane off pretty quickly in the next couple weeks here.
As long as we don't have a stretch like they had last year and the year before that and the year before that into perpetuity, there was one stretch where they were 0 for 41 on the power play. And if we can just avoid that, I think the numbers will look, mid 20s, 25% if we can get there. Yeah. That sounds good for me.
71.4% right now is what they're clipping at, and that's insane. Like, that's incredible. Good for them, but you need to get that 5-on-5 working a little bit more and give the power play a little less.
On the topic of 5-on-5 scoring, buy or sell concern with the second line and the inability for the second line so far to really generate much of anything.
Buy. You don't have the right personnel on your second line, and I'm going to say it and I'll scream it from the mountaintops. You just don't have the right players. I mean, yes, you miss Matt Zuccarello. I can't overlook that, but also you need these other guys to step up. You need to put Liam Ogren in that position and see if he sinks or swims. I need to see it. I don't think Marcus Johansson has earned his way onto that second line, and he's not necessarily the goal scorer I need. You need Tarasenko to find his groove. He needs to be contributing more. I am selling on, or no, wait, was it buying? I'm buying that the second line is not good, basically, right?
You're buying the concern on the second line, and I'm glad you brought up Matt Zuccarello because I think that is a piece of this. Not having him in the lineup, the ability to it's the playmaking, if anything else, and the ability to find teammates, whether it be Kirill Kaprizov, whether it be maybe Vladimir Tarasenko, if he's still on that second line when Zuccarello comes back, the ability to find open teammates with those crazy cross-ice passes and set up timely goals. That's the thing that is missing from that second line right now.
100%. And it's just, that added depth. I think you hate to separate Boldy and Kaprizov, but I like that John Hines made that attempt because you need to have a little bit of disparity of scoring between those top two lines. And again, I think the players that you're putting there aren't going to be those depth scorers.
Yeah. And if this is indeed a new Matt Boldy, he'll bring that play driving to that second line, which is also something that line needs to have.
100%.
So continuing with buy or sell here with Jessi Pierce. Jessi, we saw Jesper Wallstedt's first start of the year. Again, it's very early in the season, but I was fist pumping right along with him for those shootout saves, and I thought Jesper looked really, really good. So buy or sell Jesper moving past last year's struggles and turning the corner this year.
I'm buying it. The kid needed that game too. He saw a little bit of everything. Not that he was completely 100% wowing us, but the overtime period, he was gassed. And I think last year he would have been exhausted and you wouldn't have seen him kind of be able to recuperate and get there. So I think he's just taking that next step forward. And I loved the little fist bumps. I asked Marc-Andre Fleury in the elevator. I was like, did you teach him that? He's like, oh yeah, that was all me for sure. I was like, I thought so. I'm buying it. I think Jesper is going to be in a really good position. Obviously, you've got a good situation with Philip Gustafsson being your number one, but nobody says you can't have two good goaltenders. I think everybody's forgetting that. Nobody's saying that just because you're extending Gus means you're shutting the door on Jesper, and especially with the amount of back-to-backs they have this week alone, let alone this season, you're going to need both goaltenders, and I think Jesper, moving beyond last year, he's done talking about last year, and he's locked in for a good season this year.
One more buy or sell, and then we're going to move to another game that I have for us here today. Sign, trade, or cut. And I can't wait for that one coming up. But, Jessi, we know Bill Guerin tends to make moves. He tends to try, especially early in the season, to do whatever it takes to help the roster improve. And now with resources, with assets, with cap space, Are you buying or selling a November trade for the Minnesota Wild this year?
Buy all day. We just talked about the concern we have for lack of scoring and lack of production throughout the lineup. Bill Guerin's got to see that too, right? If you're not producing 5-on-5 and if you're not getting those extra scores, Kirill and Boldy can't be the only 2 goal scorers. Yes, they can be the top 2 goal scorers, but they can't be the only ones. You need to have more production. So I think he's absolutely going to buy. Not to mention, again, I keep going back to this Titan schedule. Other teams are going to be looking to make moves sooner than before too. And Bill Guerin in the past has done those November trades. Remember Ryan Reeves coming in, which was either November or October. Like, he's not afraid to pull that trigger. So I bet Billy's already been on the phone, feeling out a couple things, Buffalo, seeing what they're looking at, right? Like, there's names out there and teams that are off to a very big struggle that I'm not saying they're, selling the farm just yet, but it's definitely worth Billy knocking on a couple doors. So buying that Billy will make that trade all day.
The Tage Thompson trade tracker, and yes, I did coin that phrase, took a big hit last night with the Sabres rallying to beat the Ottawa Senators 8-4. Yeah. Gross. But Buffalo's off to it. They're off to a rough start. And with superstar players, if you can't put a competitive team around them, eventually they tap out. And so we're tracking Tage all season long here on Locked On Wild.
My favorite is I found myself on the Buffalo Sabres crash out TikTok, and it's so incredible. Like, Sabres fans just losing their mind every single day. Like the one kid who he's like, I haven't won since I was 4 years old. I was at Disney World having a great time, and they can't score a goal to save. Like, it's just incredible. I love it.
Yikes. Well, we will we'll of course keep an eye on some of those big names here as the season unfolds. But yeah, I have a feeling we'll see something before too long here to accentuate this roster. We will play sign, trade, or cut with Jessi Pierce as we continue today's episode of Locked On Wild after this. Today's episode of Locked On Wild is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is in full swing, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Minnesota Vikings taking on the Philadelphia Eagles this weekend, and the line currently shows the Philadelphia Eagles as 2.5-point favorites in that game. So with your $5 bet, you could elect to take the Minnesota Vikings plus 2.5, or you could look at player props such as will Carson Wentz have at least 231.5 passing yards, or will Justin Jefferson score an anytime touchdown? What about Jordan Mason? You could put him to score either the first or the last touchdown in Sunday's game. Those are all the options at FanDuel, and there are so many more that you can uncover. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today to get started. Welcome back to today's episode of Locked On Wild. Once again, we thank you for making Locked On Wild your first listen each and every day. Again, make sure to follow us on YouTube and your favorite podcast platforms so you don't miss out on any new episodes throughout the week. Back to our conversation with Jessi Pierce. We're playing sign, trade, or cut. Jessi, game number 2, and this one I can't wait to see the reaction to. We're playing sign, trade, cut, which is a popular version or a hockey version of the marry, bleep, kill.
I like that.
And I've got 3 names here. You got to sign one to at least a 1-year extension. You got to trade one, and you got to just outright cut one. And I think you know the names. I think you know the names that are going to be part of this. We are going to sign, trade, cut Marcus Johansson, Zach Bogosian, and Vladimir Tarasenko.
Goodness, gross.
As I laugh like a maniac in the back.
I'm cutting Marcus Johansson all day, every day. Like, I can't get around it, and that's enough. Just he's getting cut. I am going to. Bogosian's probably more valuable to a team, like a playoff team maybe that could use a little defensive depth. So you trade him because he has the value, because you're going to get a return, which leaves you with Vladimir, who maybe finds that snipe, that shot. So I'm going to sign him to a 1-year extension. I don't hate that, actually. That's not too bad.
I think that worked. That's exactly how I would do it too, because we don't know a ton. We've seen the early play from Vladimir Tarasenko, but he could just be a little bit of a slow starter that kind of works his way in. So I'm still need to kind of see more from him to know what he's going to be like this season, but jury's out on 90. Like we've watched that play out for like 6 years, and
we've seen the what's the Taylor Swift thing? I've seen this film before. Like right?
Like the ending. Yeah.
Yes, like it's just and he didn't like the ending exactly. The frustrating thing about watching Marcus Johansson is he can skate. Like he can move, his zone entry is okay, but then it's like he just stops playing hockey, and then he like doesn't know what to do, and it causes a turnover after turnover after turnover. Like I can't keep watching. Or he fans on the pass. Like you've been playing this, and for him being a player that is signed to just the 1-year extension at a league minimum, and to still give him this shot in the top 6 is just mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, I was not opposed to just for roster depth, but that was the assumption of like, occasionally he'll work in on the 4th line. Yeah. If you need somebody, but immediate vault into the top 6, because you're like, well, the lines that we tried for like 2 practices didn't work for a game. So now we got to go to let's just try this again. It's like, you've got other options. I would honestly rather see Ryan Hartman up in that second line spot.
And I think that's probably what you're going to see this next game. It would not surprise me if you put Ben Jones in at center down on that bottom line and make some movement and move Ryan. I like Hertzy at center, to be honest, but I mean, he's a better right wing up there and then move. Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Well, we'll keep an eye on that, but I'm glad we both came to the same conclusion for sign, trade, cut, and it feels like a workable solution for this team. Jessi, just a couple things to finish. The theme of what are we watching in the early part of the season? What are some of the things that you, as plugged in as you are with the team, what are some of the things that you're keeping an eye on as the season continues to unfold?
Faceoffs, right? Which is, again, a tale as old as time with the Minnesota Wild. But even watching Joel Eriksson struggle at the dot and Marco Rossi, I mean, it is overly concerning that they cannot win a draw, especially on the PK. And this is where, again, like we talked about missing Matt Zuccarello, you're missing Nico Sturm. That addition was going to be huge, especially on the PK. He was that guy, because you need to win the draw in the defensive zone. That's just as simple as that, even if it's just to dump it out. Like, it's beyond. So I'm watching faceoffs very closely. And defense has me a little befuddled, Seth. Like, I just think it's not as tight there. And maybe it's because I'm a traditionalist. I like my responsible defensemen. Like Jacques Lemaire was my bread and butter, right? I love seeing Zeev jump into the play, and I love Fabes doing that. Fabes seems like a step off to me so far this year too. Yeah. But because they're so moving forward on the offense and getting those zone entries, which aren't great. I don't think our zone entries are very good. I feel like you're, again, having a lot of those turnovers at center ice or at the offensive blue line, and the defense aren't there and not prepared. So when Gus is allowing 7 goals, I don't think that's on Gus. He's just getting shelled like it's a breakaway or it's on the rush. It's weird. So defense has me a little curious because those pairs should work. Like the pairs make sense. But I'm kind of keeping an eye on that in particular. Again, not overly worried, but curious.
Yeah, I like that. It's not, if you didn't look super carefully, you wouldn't really know, but it's almost like it's like 1 or 2 degrees off.
Yes.
Like for both Brock Faber and for the defense too. Like if you really dive in and look deep like we do, you're like, this is still a work in progress.
Yeah, it is. It feels just, it's not as comfy cozy as I'm used to, right? And so I think that's kind of the difference maker. Again, not bad, not at all. I'd also like to see David Jiricek and what he could do at some point. I think that would be a big step up. It might be bad, but I'd like to see it.
It's like I have been saying for the last couple of days, like, yeah, you probably have a safer floor with veterans, but you have a lower ceiling. You've got a lower ceiling with some of these
I'm gonna
guys.
steal that. That is good.
By
That's
all
good stuff
means,
right there.
like I said yesterday, it's like, some of the guys that have been in those third pairings in previous seasons, would you rather have those guys in the lineup right now, or would you rather have Zeev Boyum? And Zeev has certainly had his moments where, there are some mistakes made, but look at the strides that he's already taken this year. And that's the same sort of thing that you get with these young players. Like, they're going to make strides. They're going to have some growing pains. But by the end of the year, you're going to look back and you're going to say, boy, wasn't it a great decision to get those guys in the lineup as quickly as we did?
You have to let them make the mistakes. As frustrating and as scary as that can be, you have to, I don't want to see Liam Ogrum up there for a shift. I don't want to see him up there for a game. I want to see him up there for several games, right? We talk about how great this prospects pool is and how amazing Minnesota Wild is at developing these players and the other picks. I haven't seen it because we haven't had afforded the opportunity, because Marcus Johansson is up there log jamming the left wing for some reason. It's insane.
It just basically just running on a treadmill. Like,
yes,
like 17, 18 minutes a night. And I look at the surface level box scores and I'm like, no shots on goal, or one shot on goal in 17 minutes, and none of those other counting stats. And I'm like, are we really best suited with this going on?
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
I don't
figure
know.
it out.
Jessi, before we let you go, I mentioned it at the beginning of the episode, but just let the listeners know, Bardown Beauties has moved to the Score North family of podcasts. So just let the listeners know where they can find your work, written or audio, so that they can tune in all season long.
Always. Yeah, we moved over to the Score North platform, which has Judd's hockey show. So we're starting a whole little hockey contingency over there, in addition to all the great work they do. Super honored. New episodes released every Tuesday, wherever you listen to the podcasts, or you can check us out on YouTube as well. Myself and Kirsten Kroll, who does a great job co-hosting and as the in-arena host of the Minnesota Wild. Then you can read most of my stories at NHL.com or in your Minnesota Wild game programs. Be sure to support those youth hockey associations. This month's feature is on Kirill Kaprizov. We're working on some good stuff for upcoming. And yeah, I'm around. Follow me on Twitter. I do things.
Jessi Pierce, absolute beauty, as the title of the podcast suggests. Listeners, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, Central Division Power Rankings, Week 1, coming up here on Locked On Wild. Today's episode of Locked On Wild is brought to you by Game Time. The hockey season is officially here, and nothing beats the in-arena for those opening games. Let's be real. Getting tickets can be a total headache. Between waiting in queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump right before checkout, it's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your favorite team. That's where Game Time comes in, the app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NHL tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. Personally, my favorite feature of Game Time is the fact that ticket prices actually go down the closer you get to an event. So you don't have to plan long times in advance, because let's be honest, everybody's schedules get crazy busy at this time of year. So if you want to go to a spontaneous game, if you feel like the day of going to a game, you don't get penalized for it. So take the guesswork out of buying NHL tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Final segment of today's episode of Locked On Wild. Once again, we thank you for making Locked On Wild your first listen each and every day. Again, make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube, and keep an eye on the YouTube channel, because we are very close to a major milestone that I honestly, it was something that I never expected to happen when taking over as host of this show, but it's going to happen here sometime within the next few days. So stay tuned. I will make sure to definitely let everybody know when it does, because it's It's pretty awesome. And speaking of awesome, our new weekly bit that we will be taking a look at throughout the rest of the NHL season, Central Division Power Rankings. Just taking a look at where teams are, where they go to, where they fall to, and just a better way to kind of keep a barometer on the Central Division throughout the course of the season. Now, for today, just going to be kind of an introductory segment to it. But as we move along, we are going to turn this into a full-length show as part of the week. And we'll have other hosts on to kind of defend their position or to tell me why I'm crazy if I have their team ranked too high or too low. So look for that on a weekly basis as the season unfolds. And here is kind of what we're looking at for the first edition of the Central Division Power Rankings. Now, for the audio audience, I'll run through the Power Rankings for you. For the YouTube audience, you have them on screen right now. So this first edition of the Power Rankings, we got the Colorado Avalanche at number 1. And I didn't do this strictly based on points. I factored in a couple of other things too. The Colorado Avalanche leading the division with 7 points. They just have really looked crisp to start the season. They're getting great goaltending to start the year. Their only loss of the season was an overtime loss 5-4 to the Dallas Stars. Their games other than that, they beat the Kings 4-1. They beat the Mammoth 2-1. They beat the Sabres 3-1. So they've only given up multiple goals in one game so far. And you look at what the goaltending has looked like so far this season. Scott Wedgwood stepping in and getting the first 4 starts of the season. He's 3-0-1, and he's got a .935 save percentage, of 1.72 goals against average. So he's been sensational in the net. You're getting good production from Nathan McKinnon and Marty Necas to start off the season, both with 8 points. And it's a good start for a Colorado team that has massive expectations for the year. Number 2, I went with the Dallas Stars, who the Minnesota Wild had a chance to see this in their most recent game. They are 3-0 to start the season. They've played 3 games. They've won all 3. And, pretty much right on with the Avalanche. But they have given up 4 goals twice, albeit to top-end Central Division opponents. And then they beat the Wild by a score of 5-2. So I put the Stars at second on this list. Number 3 on the power rankings for me this week, I'm going with the Winnipeg Jets. Winnipeg Jets are 2-1 to start the season. They were upended by the Stars in their first game, but they bounced back. They beat the Kings 3-2. They beat the Islanders 5-2. And I think you got to be kind of surprised by what you have received from a couple of those impact additions that they brought in this season. Jonathan Taves just 1 assist so far, but he's getting just under 18 minutes. Gustav Nyquist also with an assist. You're getting high-end production from Scheifele and Connor. So I put the Jets at 3 for week 1. The biggest surprise, I think, so far has got to be the Nashville Predators. I know it's just 4 games in, but 2-1-1 to start the year. Kind of Jekyll and Hyde so far, as they had a 7-4 loss to the Maple Leafs. They also got edged by the Mammoth 3-2, but they beat the Blue Jackets 2-1. They beat the Senators 2-1, and so far you're getting production from some unlikely sources. I don't think anybody expected Eric Haula to be leading the Predators in goals through the first 4 games. Jonathan Marchessault also with a couple of goals. And so the fact that through the first 4 games, Steven Stamkos has just 1 assist and the Predators are still finding ways to win, that is that's pretty darn good, to say the least. UC Saros as well. He has started 3 of the first 4 games. His peripheral numbers are excellent. .947 save percentage, 164 goals against average. So a great start for the Predators, who desperately needed one after what happened last year. I have them at 4. I have the Minnesota Wild at 5 at this point in the early part of the season. They had the solid win against the St. Louis Blues to start the season. They beat the Kings in a shootout. They lost to Dallas, and they also got roughed up by the Columbus Blue Jackets. So in the early part of the season, ups and downs. Kirill Kaprizov and Matt Boldy off to scintillating starts for the Wild. So I have them at 5. I got the St. Louis Blues at 6. Now, all of these teams have pretty much the exact same number of points so far this season. The Blues, they have a couple of quality wins so far. They lost to the Wild, but they also beat the Canucks and the Flames. They just got destroyed by the Blackhawks 8-3. So maybe I should put the Blackhawks at 6 and the Blues at 7. That would be about the only change that is probably warranted so far. But Chicago, so far this year, they have they've gone 2-1. They lost their first 3 games 3-2, 4-3, and 3-2. They then beat the Mammoth 3-1, and they beat the Blues 8-3. So, you could probably make a case for the Blackhawks at 6 and the Blues at 7, but the Mammoth definitely 8 to start the year. The Mammoth have only scored in the first 4 games of the season. They've only scored 8 goals, and so it's been a little bit of rough sledding for the Mammoth. I mean, they've played well. They just haven't been able to consistently score. They've lost 2-1 and 3-1, and they have beaten the Predators 3-2 and the Flames 3-1. So they're looking to accentuate that goal scoring a little bit. But Power Rankings 1.0, Avalanche, Stars, Jets, Predators, Wild, Blues, Blackhawks, Mammoth. In the comments section, let me know your thoughts on these rankings. Who would you have in a particular spot? I didn't want to go a full show on this one because it's super early and there's a lot that can change. But as we go throughout the rest of the season, the truncated schedule, we are going to have a lot to talk about over the course of each week. And we'll probably do some different variations of this, some different renditions. We're ranking this week based on goaltending combinations or things like that. We're just going to keep the theme of power rankings and give ourselves an appropriate amount of wiggle room to work with, appropriate amount of runway, I think is what the kids say, to work with that power rankings segment. So that is going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Wild. Again, big thank you to Jessi Pierce for joining the show. We're happy to have Jessi on a monthly basis here as the season unfolds. So we'll be hearing plenty from Jessi as we move throughout the season. And we're ironing out some additional guests that will be joining the show on a frequent basis throughout the course of the season. Make sure to hit that like button if you have not already before you head out for the day. And make sure to follow us throughout the rest of the season. We will have you covered every step of the way with new episodes and more to be announced in the future. So stay tuned to Locked On Wild as we keep you up to date on the Minnesota Wild all season long. We are your team each and every day.